I honestly question myself that is art enough? I can contribute in more ways, but then this is my strength, this is my skill set, and I am putting it out there, and I am kind of challenging in a way which is not mainstream. I think the biggest validation or the biggest achievement, let's say, is people can connect to my art. And I honestly believe that art, it belongs to the people.
If you use social media often and have shared digital artwork, chances are you might have shared my guest's work. Smish Designs is a digital artist and illustrator whose work is often a searing commentary on the socio political events that happen in our country. Some of her designs have been used during protests, such as the Hathras case and anti-CAA. Her art is forthright and doesn't wrestle with the message. In her first solo exhibition, Pati, Patni Aur Woke, her designs delved into the injustices often meted out to women in the institution of marriage. As Smish asks if marriage really is a safe space for women. But voicing one's unfiltered opinion always comes at a cost. She's had to deal with threats, trolling, and even Instagram and Twitter taking down her posts. As she becomes one of the well known voices in India's protest art culture, let's listen to this interesting conversation. Hi, Smish. Thank you so much for coming on Maharani Talks podcast.
Hi, Mahati. It's like my pleasure and honor to be on this talk. I mean, I know the kind of people you've interviewed before, and I just feel blessed and really excited to be part of this.
That's so sweet of you. Thank you so much. That means a lot. I also wanted to add, right? The work of digital artists, it's become so important lately. In fact, many times it used to catch everyone's attention, especially on social media, when there was some poignant issue and they would give a very witty take on it. And it was, without having to write like, essays about it or explain it in just in a picture, right? It would pretty much grab the entire scenario of the issue. So in that way, it was interesting. I came across so many of your work, the posts that you had put up, and it always caught my eye. And along with many others, there were also this Arijit Sen and Bakery Prasad and sanitary panels, and it was like so diverse voices, which was really interesting. But firstly, I'm very curious because I specifically wanted to ask you this. Have you ever revealed your name? You
No,
don't intend to at all.
no, it's a very stressful thing for me to kind of think about revealing my name. There are so many reasons for it, but I would not want to go deeper into that. It's just my way of kind of still practicing. Like, being anonymous gives me a lot of freedom. So creatively, and I can talk about issues and without the weight of who I am. So I think if that sums up, but like, I want my work to speak, and it's an alias that I use, and I'd rather concentrate and focus more on what I want to say rather than who I am, or I don't know. I don't know. I haven't figured that out yet, but something like that.
So, was that a conscious decision, or it just happened at the spur of the moment when you started posting on issues?
So basically, it was a conscious decision, but it was conceived, my page was conceived way before I started making political art. I was in art school, and I was a graphic designer studying graphic design, and that is when I started my artist page without my name being on it, because even then I was like, I don't know, I liked the fact that I was anonymous and had an alias, and I started posting my photography, my artwork, my graphics. And then when in 2019, when I started posting political social political illustrations, I think it just organically happened that I was like, okay, I can just continue on this page, even though it's for my recreational photography and artworks. But it kind of was mm, a convenience for me to not reveal my name then on my page, and it worked. Like, plus also the big factor is that I'm a woman, so
Yeah, I was going to ask that.
yeah, so just to be safe on the internet, because I've had very harrowing experiences by on the hands of trolling. So that was one of the reasons why I did not want to reveal my gender or my identity online. So yeah.
Yeah, especially for women artists, I think the digital domain or social media can be quite distressing in the way that how attacks are targeted against them sometimes.
Yeah, and I think I was very inspired by, because I was reading, I was studying about Guerrilla Girls. They are also an anonymous group of women who kind of call out the art industry in the West. So I was very inspired by them, and I just thought that, okay, in my own small way, I'd rather, because there's always this kind of notion, right? When women are like, back then, when I mean, I'm sure things are changing very fast now because of digital age, but back then, like, women creating art, people looked at it differently. We did not get the same respect as a man. So I wanted that kind of anonymity where I'm like, okay, let's see, like, and then when I started getting appreciated, I'm like, people didn't know my gender, or they didn't know my identity or whatever. But that time I started to kind of assert who I am in the as a woman, because it was important to me, because I wanted the credit for my creations as a woman, because I wanted to make sure of that, hey, listen, I'm a woman. And because a lot of people would tell me that, oh, we are so surprised that you are a woman and you're creating such art. And I'm like, why is it so surprising? Like,
Yeah.
so
That's actually, yeah, what I wanted to ask you about, because you had earlier mentioned that in another interview that you were mistaken for a man, and that people would comment on your post saying, refer to you as bro and all that.
yeah, yeah. Still they do. Still they do. Sometimes I get very, like, get carried away by Instagram trends, and I want to post a selfie, but I post like an elusive selfie where my face is half hidden. And people are like, "Oh my god, Smish Designs is a woman and not a man." And I'm like, and then they're like, "Huge respect. We didn't know." And I'm like, "Why is it so surprising? Like, I still don't get it."
Maybe you've been like quite out there, daringly voicing issues on many sensitive topics. So I think as a woman, there's that fear factor, right? Get targeted more easily. So maybe that's another reason. But I especially wanted to check with you, when they realized you're a woman artist, did their interaction or reaction to your work change?
No, thankfully not. Not at all, actually. And I had that fear. I mean, mostly basically trolling changed. The gender of the trolling changed, like sometimes. Because earlier I was, like MCBC and like all that kind of language, and very, like, they thought I was a man, so they were giving me galis considering I was a man. And now it's like they know I'm a woman, so now the galis have changed, and yeah, all of that. But I mean, I would say that I get appreciated more than I get trolled, and the appreciation does not have that kind of bias. That's what I feel. Like, it's not reduced or changed because of the fact that I'm a woman.
That's good. So I had come across an article, which was an interesting one about Argentinian painter and illustrator Laura Peretti. And something she says in that interview caught my attention. She says, art is a mirror of the hidden artist. So, what one can't say openly, they express it through their art form. So, do you think that's the case with you?
Totally. I feel like my Instagram alias and my Instagram page is my alter ego, and it is an extension of me, what I wish I was, but due to many reasons I cannot be. I mean, I try my best to be as out there and, like, voicing out. But I mean, personally, I feel like I do voice out a lot of, like, I can't stand or tolerate a lot of nonsense when it happens around me. But what I am online is whole another ball game. But because I'm reacting to news, which is very disturbing, right? Like, it infuriates me, and my reaction is based out of that. So, which is, I would say it is a normal reaction. And in the real world, I don't think people care enough. And, like, they do talk about it, and but the same urgency that we need to talk about issues is lacking in day-to-day lives. And because I guess people are, whatever,
Sometimes there's a disconnect, yeah.
there is a disconnect. So I'd rather, like, I don't know, like, in my own way, like, I feel like this is the least of the least I can do, is just kind of keep talking about issues that are close to my heart, and keep raising my voice. And even if it's, I'm hidden, or um I'm anonymous, but still, like, it matters to me that I keep pressing, I keep challenging draconian policies and laws, because even if it makes 1% of difference, that's enough for me, like, honestly. Yeah.
Does your family or your friends worry and they ask you to, play it safe?
Uh, my family does not. Like, my friends are very supportive. I would say that I'm very lucky that my friends. I find a great sense of support in my friends. They understand me, and they kind of. It's a very nourishing environment. But my family, except for my siblings, are supportive. But my parents, my mom does worry a lot about me. She keeps telling me to tone it down, and she keeps telling me to talk about something else and not politics. She keeps telling me to talk about social issues rather than political issues, and just to be safe and all of that. And I'm an adult now, so I don't kind of take
Yeah.
her seriously. I'm like, that train has passed, like, literally. Like, now I'm like almost gonna be 35. Like, please.
Yeah, and in our 30s is when we learn to start giving zero Fs. So,
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, you know what? Please. Like,
yeah. But how did you come to take up art? Because you had actually studied architecture.
yeah. So I studied architecture because my parents wanted me to study architecture. I was a very obedient, hard to believe, but I was a very obedient daughter. So
Did your family encourage you to speak your mind or,
yeah,
like.
always. I would say always. That I really cherish about my family, that they let me be, and they, even though they would not agree with me on many things. And now I feel like, yeah, I mean, growing up, yes, they let me be. They kind of, we always used to have healthy discussions and point of views and all of that. So, in that sense, it was very stimulating growing up. Coming back to architecture, yes, I was a 16, 17-year old confused person. I was really good at arts. I always wanted to be an artist, and I told my parents I want to be an artist, and they would just laugh, and they would be like, that's not, whatever, it's not a serious job. Like, whatever, like, they just brushed it off. So, and for them, like, because I was good at drawing, they were like, why don't you take up architecture, because it's like, architecture is a white collar artist, right? So
That's a good way of putting it.
yeah. So then, yeah, I did architecture, but then the construction bit, the drainage layout, sewage layout, all of that, I was like, I was good at design, but the technical part of it was not for me. I was very visual person, and I then I decided, after architecture, I decided I wanted to get into more visual communication. And then I applied to college and in abroad, and I got in, and that was like a turning point for me, for my life, literally. Like, I was a very shy kid. I was a very reclusive, shy kid who was very obedient, good child of the nation sort of person, and always followed the laws, and always like kind of very agreeable. And once I got in that college, it was an art school in New York, and it just changed me. Like, I just completely changed as a person, and that was the turning point in my life. And I, like, literally, I owe a lot to that kind of experience that I had. Yeah, I mean,
That's nice.
yeah, I learned a lot about art movements. I became a lot self-aware. So that made me very empathetic, and I mean, I don't know, empathetic, but self-awareness to a level where I started to question my position in the society a lot. So that kind of change, I mean, I it was great. I critically questioned everything around me. So that was the turning point.
So, did you always have an idea about what your art would be, or it, developed as you, did more and more work?
You mean,
Like what your subject would be, whether it was social causes or political causes, or it was entirely different in the initial stages.
so yeah, in the initial stages, the thing is that because I was in New York, I just happened to work with people who worked for social justice, you know, like in some or the other way, either philanthropy or social justice. That was my introduction. Like, so I was also bent towards it a lot. And I kind of, it was like I was being molded into that kind of area, and it shaped me as a person. So I was in New York for 3 years. 1 year I worked, 2 years I studied, and the year I worked was game changing because I worked with a lot of NGOs. And then I came back to India, and I don't think I've ever worked for a corporation, like corporate sector. I've never worked for corporate sector. I always was more bent towards just using my skills for something that I strongly believe in. Like, for a, like, I mean, I'm saying this not, I'm saying this as a person who obviously comes from privilege. So I could afford to kind of, I did not like the, I mean, I left architecture because of the same reason. I was like, I can't sit and create, I mean, design houses for people with money, and it just didn't make sense to me. Like, it I was just like, I am not this person. But like graphic design, when I studied, I studied critical thinking a lot, and critical analysis a lot, design thinking a lot, and social innovation and all of that. And I questioned myself from within, that what do I want to use my skills for. So that question remained in my head, even though I came back to India. I worked in a lot of places, and but I was never internally content or satisfied with what I was doing, why I was doing. I had so many questions. Yeah, and then 2019 I was freelancing, I remember. That is when I decided that, I mean, general elections had happened, and I was like, I need to do something. Like, it can be very small, but I need to start, like, voicing somehow, so that's when I started doing political illustrations and social political illustrations.
Okay. So when you mentioned that as an architect, it didn't make sense for you to design houses only for, people who are well off. It reminded me actually of I'd interviewed Mr. Ayaz Basrai. He's a very well-known architect and interior designer. So it was also one of, I had like one of my really favorite discussions, right? Because he had so much insight to offer, and he would talk about how architects need to enter public spaces and design public spaces because it's used by more people and you don't have to think about their convenience. But yes, that's me just sharing my 2 cents.
No, he's an inspiration, absolute inspiration. And I mean, the kind of work he's done, like,
Yeah.
it's phenomenal.
But yeah, coming back to when you said in 2019 you started, posting about political social causes. Did you find a lot of, people supporting, or was it like, too much of, they were trying to discourage you, or like a lot more trolling back then than now?
Lot more trolling back then. Like, oh my god, like when I started, the trolling was, it was horrible. You know, everyone, and the thing is that what kept us going, like me and all the artists, like when we started, we were around like 15 to 20 artists. We just started posting about anti-establishment stuff and anti-BJP stuff and anti and challenging the policies and RCCA, all of that. There were a lot of artists, and I feel like collectively we were, as a country, as so many people were going through so much that it was a reaction. You know, it was reactive art. Like it was just coming because we were sick of what was happening. So that time trolling was a lot, but eventually what happened, I think, was my a lot of my artworks went viral that time when I just started. And yeah, I feel like I I think it's because of uh, so many artists creating art together was something that we found each other in, kind of like in solidarity, or let's say you can call it solidarity, you can call it camaraderie or something. Like, I don't know, I don't have a word for it, but it gave me, it inspired me, it kind of pushed me to keep doing what I was doing back then, because the trolling was so bad. I could have easily given up, but I did not, I kept at it. So I guess that was a big factor, like the support from other artists.
Yeah, I can only imagine it must have been a very distressful time. And without that, people to, like at least do back and forth discuss or, share what you're going through at the same time. It must have been very hard.
It was hard, but it was also, people came forward and supported me and supported my art. Me, when I say me, I say my art. When people started connecting to my art, they started taking it to protest, they started to publish it, and it was such a validating feeling. I can't even express it. Like, I because it was coming from a very, like, I was just, it was my opinion on things, right? I was also went, so it was coming from such a personal space, but it just to know that you are not alone and so many people are thinking what you are thinking, just, it just feels like, oh my god, I'm part of something so big. you know I'm part of the collective who thinks this way. Like, the support that I felt just by people DMing me or commenting on my art and telling me that it's helped them, or it's healing, or it's a way to for them to express themselves. It was very valid.
Do you remember which particular post got, most people connected at the same time, completely got people riled up as well?
Yeah, that one post was there was a post which I made on the Tiranga, where it's called weighing us down. There is a, instead of the Ashoka Chakra, there is a
Yeah,
man,
the flag, right? Yeah.
the saffron heavy, like the green is diminishing and the saffron is overbearing.
Okay.
So that man is kind of, like trying to push it upwards and push it back. That just, I mean, that was like good and bad experience because I almost nearly escaped an FIR then. So
Oh,
it
wow.
was, yeah, somebody who shared it got an FIR.
Oh, God.
It was it was terrible. I had so many sleepless nights, but the good thing is that a lot of, like, people were so angry and so affected because it was during NRC CAA. I don't know, like it went viral. First of all, the art went viral, and a lot of people were like, "Whatever happens, you are not deleting this. We don't care. You are not deleting this artwork. You are not." So it was because of people. I was like, okay, fine. I think I have support, so I will not delete it. Like there were lawyers contacting me saying that we will fight your case. Don't delete it. So I was just like, because
That's, yeah.
I was getting
Yes.
told that we will do an FIR on you because you used national flag, whatever, colors and all of that. So, and I checked the flag code and everything. I was not doing anything illegal or wrong. Like, they were not even the same colors. So, to start with. So, so nor was I selling it anywhere. So I mean, I knew the law. I mean, now after years, after like I think 4 years of doing this, now I know laws. I am I'm best friends. Whoever is a lawyer, like whoever introduces themselves as a lawyer, I'm like, hi bestie. Like I keep them very close.
When I saw that artwork, I was thinking, like I'd mentioned before, it was very witty. So, how do you come up with these concepts?
Honestly, I don't have an answer. So like I remember, like I was just sitting, I don't know, I don't even remember, it just came to me. Like sometimes I feel like, like I always used to believe that I'm an atheist, and for most days I am an atheist, but sometimes when ideas just come to me, I'm just like, am I a medium, like what? And I believe like in the, I don't believe in anything, but like I do believe that collective conscience, through our thoughts and through our actions, through our creations, we can literally connect with people through connect, like
Yeah, the common pool.
something out there that I can't make sense of. I cannot be so uptight, and I don't know, like some ideas just come to me, and it was one of those kind of experiences. Like I also go through experiences when I'm creating my art. So either I'm very upset and I'm reacting, or I want to mock a politician. I go through so many, it depends on what approach I want to do, like take. So yeah.
After that experience, did it ever make you, think twice or hesitate before posting again?
Of course, like that was the starting point of getting so trolled that badly. I've been trolled many times, like in the worst kind of ways, but at the same time, because I don't know, like I think I'm internally a rebel. So when I get trolled a lot, I kind of become more resilient somehow. Like I kind of want to challenge that as well. Like I'm like, why can't I put my art there? Like I'm just asking these questions. Like it's just art. I'm not holding a gun. Like why do you have a problem with that? Like these questions arrive. But sometimes I do get very scared. I have put like taken down a lot of my artworks. It's not worth it. It's really like I feel like ठीक है एक दिन आर्ट डाला, it has done what it was supposed to do. And if I'm getting too trolled, and now I think I'm more fragile than I used to be, and I'm like, not worth it, like not worth troubling my mental health like this. So I do put it down, and I do take it down, and yeah. And see, people's attention span is 20 seconds and 15 to 20 seconds. Usme you have to kind of make them aware about some issue that is going on through art. तो अब उसका काम हो गया है, 1 या 2 या 3 दिन में हो गया। उसके बाद अगर मुझे ट्रोलिंग हो रहा है उसमें, तो देन आई जस्ट रिमूव इट। आई एम लाइक नॉट वर्थ इट। लाइक कभी भी ये मेरे अगेंस्ट यूज़ हो सकता है। लाइक व्हाटएवर। लाइक आई डोंट नो, आई थिंक इन दोज़ वेज़ नाउ। लाइक if it's even slightly blasphemous, I'm like not worth it.
Yeah. But how do you protect your mental health? It must, like you said, it definitely takes a toll, to sit and read those comments sometimes.
I don't read comments. That is, I sometimes do on Instagram and I keep blocking them. And Twitter pe to I don't even check. Twitter is very toxic. Like it's the worst. My God, I don't ever read comments on Twitter. Sometimes I do, and I get like, I'm just like sitting in one corner and I'm like, oh my god, how can people be so nasty? Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, Twitter has gone out of, I don't know, it's just, yeah.
Ah, and so I block them. Or, and what, how I protect my mental health is now I take healthy breaks for a week or so, like for few days. I keep taking breaks, and it's not like I'm unaware of what's going on. I am aware, but I have become, I don't know, like if I genuinely, पहले मैं क्या करती थी कि पहले I'm like नहीं इसके, you know, like people would be like talk about this, talk about that, and I'll be like, sometimes I'll in pressure I'll be like, okay, I'll talk about like mocking some politicians, but now I've really narrowed it down to if I am affected, or if I think it's very important to raise this issue because it it is part of an outrage and it may help change a policy or whatever. Like I don't know, like that's how I'm protecting my mental health, honestly. Like I am not, I'm taking regular intervals pay, I'm taking healthy breaks and coming back to it because sometimes it gets too consuming and too overbearing. And yeah, that's how I'm doing it. There's no method to it, but it's just how I'm winging it right now.
Do you feel the anxiety to post, like every time there is an issue, okay, I have to post something about it?
I used to. Now I'm more cautious. I used to feel that way that I need to talk. I mean, now I'm just like, I don't know, like I'm not sure. Now I'm more like I'd rather share somebody else's post and let them talk about certain things because I don't know, my bandwidth is only, sometimes I feel like I'm taking up too much space. Honestly, if I'm being too honest. And I don't know if it's a good or bad thing, but and now I'm just like work has become very like demanding of late. So that's where I kind of draw the line and I'm like, okay, let me just. Earlier it was like, okay, no, this is my priority, but and work was happening along with it. But now I'm becoming more, bending more towards how can I strike a balance? How can I reach a common ground where I'm also aligned with, like, see, art is not the only thing that I can offer. I have other skill sets to kind of make changes on a personal level. You know, that's what I think. Like, that's what I'm trying to say. That I sometimes feel that, okay, but it's just, I don't want to sound mean or whatever, but yeah, it's very important that I document what is happening right now, but it's also important that I take care of myself. I earn enough money that I can continue doing this. All of that matters to me now. So I'm trying to strike a balance, you know. So that's a personal goal that I'm trying to achieve right now.
That's good. And I'm glad you are owning your space. So, some issues can be quite intimidating to, put your work on. So, have you like ever second guessed your opinion on an issue? Because sometimes, like social media also tends to become like echo chambers, and it becomes too much wokeness, and not understanding the ground reality. So, have you like thought like, okay, maybe I need to like investigate further before I form an opinion? And has it made you second guess? Yeah.
Definitely. Like that happens all the time. Like now that's what I'm saying, that thank you for putting it that way. Now I'm very careful of what I post. Now I wait a few days before posting some about an issue because earlier I used to be very reactionary. Like I was a very reactionary artist and I would just get like infuriated and just make fast art and just put it out there. Like now I'm more, I would say that now is a more healthier approach that I'm applying. Now I wait a few days, read about it, Google stuff, read articles, and when I have that also helps in kind of putting my message across. So
That's good, because for like way too many people, sometimes social media ends up being the only source of information.
exactly, yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true.
And the platform with its algorithms, it keeps feeding you the same thing over and over again, right?
Yeah, yeah, oh my God, they want us to be angry all the time, angry and distressed all the time. What is social media doing? Like, I'm appalled. Like, anyway, that's another whole story altogether.
Yeah.
But yeah, I used to be. I am a person in general. I'm a person who gets easily influenced, and I used to be not doing my homework, not doing my research, and posting very impulsively and reaction in a very reactionary way. So and I've learned from it. I have deleted posts, I have apologized, I have corrected myself many times in the past when I have done something of that sort. But I think we're all, it's the digital age we're living in. This is bound to happen. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is sadly, I feel like, and when you were talking about echo chambers, I feel like, yeah, there are echo chambers, but there are cons of echo chambers, that we are all always talking about the same issues, same with the same people, with the same. But honestly, after talking to a lot of people, echo chambers are safe spaces at the end of the day that we don't get anywhere else. you know these echo chambers actually ignite ideas about what could be done, how can we make it better. Like, it provides a safe space for people to just be themselves, even though people are not using their real names or whatever it is, and or they don't want to talk about. They come here to kind of feel a sense of security, and it liberates them. It I think that is the biggest pro of being in an echo chamber, where what we don't get outside, we seek it online, where we're constantly looking to kind of create our own narratives.
Yeah, that makes sense. It can be a delicate balance, of how you, yeah.
But at the same time, yeah, there are cons, because we are away from exactly what is going on outside, and we are not being too inclusive of people who, and for good reason. Like, we are not being inclusive of people with diverse opinions, let's say. That's the biggest criticism of an echo chamber, right? But what if that other person is who we are not being inclusive of, like, triggers somebody? Like, it's triggering, right? Like, so we are there. It's not, it's very nuanced.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Has the platform like Instagram or Twitter ever taken down any of your posts?
Yeah, many. I don't even remember how many, but many.
Oh my. Even Twitter. I thought they would like that kind of reaction to a post.
No, no, even Twitter. I wear it as a badge of honor that my posts were removed. I go against community. Like, I'm literally an example of good girl gone bad. Like, literally. Like, I can't even imagine I'm this person now. Like, who is, I don't know, I'm going against community guidelines. So very often. So
So, talking about offline spaces, you had your first solo exhibition back in March 2021 during the pandemic, and it was about intimate partner violence, which was actually a very pertinent topic because, India recorded a 10-year high of domestic violence complaints during the pandemic. So, what prompted you to do that, especially during that period?
see, it was very personal. I would say that I have grown up seeing women suffer, seeing women being resilient, seeing women fighting so many battles. I'm a single woman in my 30s, and when I'm asked, or when I'm told, like, I'm often told or asked to get married, I kind of feel like, I my instant reaction is, but I don't have good examples of where, like, what is the reference that I like, I've literally, I don't have role models of actually happily married couples or happily married women, for example. Like, it's always the women compromising. That's what I've grown up seeing. So why would I consciously choose that for myself? If, in case Like there's so many policies, I mean, there's so many laws that are anti women still when it comes to marriage. So, for example, like consent, it's it, I talked about that as well in my exhibition. I talked about intimate partner violence. I talked about dowry, which is very prevalent. And so I'm just like, it's so suffocating to be. I wanted to challenge the institution of marriage from an Indian woman's perspective. That was my goal. That what are you, is this even a safe space for us? That was my main idea behind the whole exhibition, that we are, and you're telling us that this is a status symbol opportunity for us, that we become status symbols, but is this even a safe space for us? Like, how are we existing in in this institution when our safety, basic safety is like, on the cost of our basic safety? So that was my main aim with this exhibition.
Yeah, that's sadly the case for like majority of women in India. So yeah, in fact, coincidentally, the Supreme Court is going to hear a set of petitions to criminalize marital rape in March. So I think we'll have to wait and see what's going to happen. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that really pisses me off. I can't even express it. Like, but this whole sanctity of marriage and this idea of purity and this idea of sanctity of marriage, like, I'm just like, you are lying to yourself. These are lies you're feeding us. Like, stop it. Like, this is, I mean, we are educating ourselves now. We are becoming independent. We are becoming financially independent. We can see now, like, this is, not what we want. And if you don't, I mean, my whole basic idea is, even when I was ideating for the exhibition, I was thinking that if these laws, imagine it's state sponsored, I hate to say this, but it's state sponsored oppression of women, government, because they have not criminalized marital rape. Dowry still is prevalent, and it's rampant rather. So it's like, it's literally state sponsored.
Just the idea of using art as like to as a protest or dissent, in fact my earliest memory can be the iconic the common man by the great RK Lakshman, and there was such so like to the point and catchy. And so do you think as a digital artist, if art didn't cause a reaction, it's not, you're not doing your bit for the society?
I struggle with that actually. I honestly question myself, that is art enough? Like, is it enough? That is what I'm doing. I can I can contribute in more ways, but then this is my strength. This is my skill set, and I am putting it out there, and I am kind of challenging in a way which is not mainstream. It's still like my only I think the biggest validation or the biggest achievement, let's say, is people can connect to my art. Like, people can see and people can connect, people heal, people, like, that's what they tell me. I mean, it motivates me a lot, and I honestly believe that art, it belongs to the people, like, it primarily, like, that is the job, like, that is its purpose. And it's my definition. There are many definitions of several other artists. Art is very subjective, but I feel like I'm glad, like, I look back and I'm like, I'm glad I started doing what I do, and it has made me a better person. Forget the fact that I'm growing as a person. I am individual, on an individual level. Even the criticism I get, I value it so much. It's an extension of my artwork. Like, if I put an artwork there, if people criticize it or like it, that is part of my artwork. That is part of the experience. That is part of the dialogue that I want to create. So that is what I think that I do. That is something that I really value.
And yeah, the power of visual image, right? It connects like sometimes even words can't. Even Banksy, when we see something of his crop up somewhere, it just catches headlines. So yeah, it has that power. For the longest time, digital art wasn't taken seriously. It's of course changed a lot now. Maybe back then artists were called content creators or something. But is it easier now to, especially as a female artist, to be heard, or it's a little more tougher to get to be seen in your space?
I don't know if I am eligible to answer that in the sense that it's not been easy, and I feel like I had so many things, so many aspects about my personality, in this not personality but identity, that got me where I am today. My exposure, my education, my being privileged enough to do this on the side, and I feel like it's been easier for me to reach this far. I cannot say for anyone else how easy or hard it is to be a woman artist. I I'm here because it has been easy. I don't. Yes, I mean I struggle with trolls and many other things. But I mean, if I have to answer this question, I have to consider and acknowledge my privilege where I'm coming from, and that it's been easy for me to kind of reach here. I don't think it's still. I mean, I would not make that assumption for anyone else, especially women artists. But I do, on the brighter side, I do see a lot of. I my fav some one of my some of my favorite artists are women artists, Indian women artists. So yeah, I mean, I think things are changing, but very slowly, but they are changing. and
That's good.
and graphic design and illustration especially, they're more and more, they're diversifying even more, so it's great, it's incredible. Like,
And I'm glad these avenues are getting, the notice recognition they need. Yeah.
yeah, and we're all witness to something so amount of, like this, it's just so diverse that I feel like I can't believe I'm a witness to and a part of something. Like, yeah, I'm just like having a moment right now, but I'm just like, this is literally like, it's giving me goosebumps. But I feel like it's a good, like, design and art is seeing a change and in India. So that's great. It's a great story.
No, like you said, we are witnessing a very radical new era of artistic expression, especially now with artificial intelligence. I would think whether we hate it or like it, we can't ignore it anymore. It's there, even like tools like, Deep Dream and Mid Journey. It uses all this deep learning techniques to, ideate on templates that was from, earlier artists, renowned artists. But what's your take on it? Do you think that's something artists will eventually have to incorporate it in their work without compromising their creativity?
I have no idea, honestly. Like, I,
I know it's a rabbit hole, so.
yeah, I learned mid journey. I created some art for somebody. It was a commission project. I feel like, and I have a very Pratik Arora. He's doing some really good work with AI art. Yeah, you should check him out. He's amazing, and I don't know what prompts he's giving, but I mean, it's just, another. I feel like you need to be skilled in a way where you know how to work the software. The app software. Like, you should know exactly what you want to, the prompts that you want to give. That is more creative strategy than actually drawing, right? So
It is, yeah.
still art. I'm not saying it's not art, it's still art, but it's just a different skill set, I feel, from illustration or art or design that artists or designers actually use. So, but it's inevitable, like you said, it's inevitable. It's making things faster. It's making the creative process, the creative thinking. I mean, it's very good for architects and interior designers. If they want, they can literally visualize a style using these softwares, or a room using these softwares. So I think in different industries are using it differently. So that's been wonderful. We cannot ignore it.
Yeah. We really have to wait and watch what form or shape it's going to take. Yeah. But what inspires you lately? Are you looking to collaborate with other artists? What are your plans moving forward?
I think what inspires me is right now, off late, if I'm being very honest, I feel like I want to, I do want to collaborate with, and or maybe like, let's say, form alliance with people, collaborate with people who are doing interesting work in the sense that they are challenging some kind of notion, like conventional notion. So I am working on a few projects that are dealing with that. I'm very excited about that. So yeah, I mean, I am I'm not taking myself too seriously, but I'm taking my work a little more seriously than I used to. I used to take my art for granted, which was like a self sabotage thing, like I was not taking it that seriously. But now I feel like, okay, that's my strength, and I should be diversifying my mediums and my approach, and actually collaborate with people, or like seek out people who are, and so that I can provide whatever it is, like my skill set to them, to kind of come up with new projects or ideas about how to, in a more strategic way, because I'm not strategic. Like, I'm an artist. So but yeah, I mean, that's the goal. I'm very excited about the projects that I'm doing right now, and I'm part of. And I feel like more, the more skills I gain, the more I'll be able to, give my best to the causes that I support. So that's the plan.
That's interesting. Looking forward. Thank you so much, Smish. It was such a wonderful conversation. Such a pleasure.
Thank you so much, and thank you for considering me for this talk.
I hope you enjoyed this conversation. If you have any queries or feedback, you can reach me at maharanitalks@gmail.com or at Maharani Talks on Instagram. Take care.